Wednesday night, fellas, Mully, Darrell, Steph was cooking.
Steph was definitely cooking. He put the team on his back again. That bench gave him so much energy. They were scrappy. Those guys had the will to win, and they beat a great Clippers team.
I don't know if you young guys have ever seen the movie Tommy Boy.
Oh, yeah.
I see Tommy Boy. Come on.
That was awesome.
I'm not that young, Bully. Come on. But that was
That
awesome.
performance was
Yes,
awesome.
it definitely
And you know
was.
what? It felt, I know there's no fans in the stands. It felt
A little too late as the Warriors go on a big-time run, and that's probably the biggest win of the season.
Well, really impressive and very similar to the second game of the Portland series, right? They made some adjustments. Offensively, Steph was really aggressive. And then in that last 15 minutes, he got help from everybody.
Yes.
And what was impressive was when Steph got doubled, when he got rid of the ball, it wasn't always the first shot. Maybe it was another pass. And I thought defensively they hung in there. They flipped the script, basically,
Yes, no doubt.
from half to half. Just a really impressive win. And these wins, this makes you a playoff team.
Yes,
Because these are all the Portland, the Clippers, two teams we figure are going to be in the playoffs. Warriors came right back at them.
Darrell, that bench, 42-20, they outscored the Clippers bench, and it started with Pascal. And then we're going to look at crunch time here, Darrell. Break this one down. Brad Wanamaker signed over from the Boston Celtics.
Basketball. I thought tonight he guarded Kawhi very well straight up. Offensively, he was a force all night long. And Steve Kerr kept Steph in to start the fourth quarter, right, and was really spotting his minutes, but not too long.
Right.
So we were surprised he stayed in there. But the game was in the balance, and that's when they won it. The start of that fourth quarter, they built that 6-point lead and never looked back.
In the last clip there, we saw the excitement from Curry, the excitement from Damian Lee. They really wanted to win this game. And as you mentioned, for this young roster, this is big going forward. I know it's an early season win, but you get to split against the Clippers after the way this game started. You lose a tough one Wednesday night. You're down 22. Curry closes the show, but all those other guys, Damian Lee, Mulder, Darrell, what does it mean for those youngsters coming off the bench and contributing to a win like this?
This right here was a team win. You know, I think everybody that checked in the game tonight played well, and they leaned on each other. The starters leaned on the bench, and the bench leaned on the starters to come close the game. So when you guys get chemistry like that and you close games out like that against a good team, these are the best wins ever, I'm telling you.
Well, Steph Curry showed why he's an MVP in this league. Right? He was dominant all night long, but you can't win the game by yourself. Right. And I thought tonight, Steve Kerr went to a different lineup.
Right.
He threw Michael Mulder, Damian Lee into the game for offense, and in turn, they competed on the defensive end. But look at these numbers.
Right.
And I thought, again, look, he's the #1 guy in the scouting report. The Clippers are a great defensive team. Just a few inches, and he made them pay. They were not easy shots he made. 9 for 14 from 3. They were, much of them were contested shots. A lot of credit to the players, of course. But Steve Kerr's got to be really proud of them.
Right.
Because we were sitting there saying, it feels like they're down 25.
Exactly.
But it was 12 and 14, and they made their spurt where they go 52-20.
52-20.
I mean, that's an incredible run right there.
And it's incredible that they scored over 110.5. We talked about that in the pregame.
Who talked
Here's
about
our
that?
second, you did, Mully. You called it, Mully. I got to get a Hall of Famer credit. I was looking at them crazy like, wait, you think they're going to score over 110? I'm thinking 105, 107, but they get over 110.5. So if you bet the over, Darrell, you cash that ticket. They score 115 by going on that 52-20 run that closed the show.
Mully was right. You know, you got to outscore those guys. You know, last game it was an ugly game. It was more of a defensive game. The Clippers came out kind of hot, and the Warriors had to respond. You know, being down 22 early, they had to respond and score a lot of points. You got to outscore them sometimes.
Opportunity knocks, be ready to answer the bell. The Clippers put their guard down.
Sure did.
And the Warriors took full advantage of that.
You know what underrated play in that game was Kent Bazemore getting that reversal on the moving screen.
Oh,
The
yeah.
fire
Well, as we watch this edition of the Warriors, everything is going to be compared to the previous edition of the Warriors. And they came from 20 down all the time, but it was either Steph and Clay, Kevin Durant. They had all that firepower. I didn't know that this edition of the Warriors could come from 22 down and make 23s. But when Wanamaker and Wiggins and Damian Lee and Mulder and all that Curry guy, I guess the firepower's still there.
Given the personnel, this is more impressive to me when it comes to comeback. So I'm going to put this right up there at the top. It started in the third quarter with Steph, and he would just not concede the game. He's like, this is not over. I have game I have a wet ball. I'm going to use it. And he found openings. They ran some triple screens. They got a little more creative with his offense, and they got him loose, and he was able to knock down some shots. And then at the beginning of the fourth quarter, he was in there. He went out. They let Eric Paschall go to work, and he's working against Zubats. Then they got stops because the Clippers came back and tied. Then they were able to get stops against Kawhi. They shut Kawhi down. That was crazy.
All right, so I'm going to ask you a little multiple choice question here. Which is more impressive, 52 points in the final minutes, 15 minutes, or allowing the Clippers only 20 points in the final 15 minutes? So it's a 52-20 run. Offense or defense more impressive?
I'm going to say the offense is more impressive because they've actually been defending. And we were talking about that before the game. Draymond back, we kind of expected them to continue how they played last game, last Wednesday, where they were really solid defensively and just struggled to close a few plays here and there defensively. So they were kind of on that uptrend defensively. The offense, Brad Wanamaker knocking down a couple monster threes. Andrew Wiggins, who had been playing really well, knocking down threes after an offensive rebound. Just everybody got in on the act, but they were super decisive with their offense to close, and that's not easy to do. Sometimes things get tight down the stretch. You know what I'm talking about. But everybody played loose. They were decisive, and it wasn't just Steph. Steph got him back in the game. Eric Paschall was going at Zubats, and then everybody else got in on the act. Crazy impressive.
Well, Curry was limited to 5 of 17 and only 13 points in round 1. 38 and 11 with 9 made threes in round 2. They do play the Clippers one more time later in the season, but so far, if LA is the title contender, the Warriors, they're not going to concede anything to any team the way they're playing right now.
Warriors going to be tough, man. This team is getting better and better and better, and we see improvement every single night with this team. And it all starts defensively, right? They started locking in defensively in that third quarter. That's what spurred this run, Darrell. They got after it defensively, and then the offense started working, and they start getting out on the break in transition.
They definitely did, and all good coaches at halftime, the first thing they point out is the field goal percentage. And I know they were shooting in the high 50s, and I'm pretty sure Coach Kerr address that. Like, we have to make these shots a little bit harder for them. We have to get a stop in the rebound, and we have to run in transition. So I think they did a great job of running in transition, sharing the basketball, and then taking them out of their offense and their rhythm.
They got an MVP performance from their MVP, Steph Curry, right? 38 points, 11 assists. But the contributions up and down the roster was incredible. Steve Kerr went to a different lineup. He threw in Damian Lee and Michael Mulder. They made some threes, but also they compete on the defensive end. Right. The team rebounded. And I thought the Clippers got a little relaxed and complacent, you know, a little loosey-goosey. And when you do that with Steph Curry, he's going to make you pay. And tonight with Eric Paschall and the rest of the bench players, they did a great job of helping Steph out. But Steph, again, he was incredible because he didn't have a whole lot of space.
They were
so to put up those numbers against a really good defensive Clipper team is very impressive. 52-20.
Right, 52-20. How about this in the second half? 57% from the Florida Warriors shot, 11 for 22. 50% in the second half. Warriors made 23s, and all. Let's hear from the head coach of the Golden State Warriors, Steve Kerr, off this big-time win against the LA Clippers.
Hi, Coach. Carlos Ramirez, NBC Bay Area and Telemundo. Congrats on the win. How would you describe that game? What just happened?
I think our guys just hung in there. You know, when we were down through most of the first 3 quarters, you know, they kept their energy up. They kept their spirit up. They were pumping each other up on the sidelines, and it just felt like we were on the ropes, but we hung in. And that's I've been telling you guys how much I love coaching this team and coming to practice every day, because every guy's all in and fun to be around and totally committed to what we're trying to do. So just a great feeling to hang in there and then catch fire and come out with the win.
You played a lot of minutes without a center tonight, and it worked. Are you finding something with this team and a lot of non-center lineups?
Well, I think Eric Paschall has just been so good that you know, he's a modern center, I guess. You know, I mean, there so many games that you watch in the NBA these days are centerless. So we've played Draymond at the 5 for many years. Eric looks like he's found a role in that spot. I thought tonight more than anything, we just we just found a spark with that group. Eric kind of led the way, but we got great performances from Kent Bazemore, Brad Wanamaker, D. Lee, Mike Mulder. They all came in ready to play, and they really made a connection, offensively and defensively, and sparked us.
Can you kind of describe what that 3-guard lineup does for your offense?
Which 3-guard lineup?
I think it was Damian Lee and Mulder together with Steph.
Well, it gives us a little better floor spacing. The ability to create some space in the paint. The Clippers are an excellent defensive team. They're long and active and athletic, and if you can't create space, then you're just in a forest of trees out there. So I think that group was able to get some stops, get it out in transition, and open up the game a little bit for us.
Knowing that defenses are going to hound Steph all season, knowing that the Clippers frustrated him, he only had 13 points in the first Clippers game. Why do you think Steph was able to just get free and erupt for 38 points? Well,
number one, because he's Steph Curry. I mean, there's not too much you have to say beyond it's just who Steph is. He's been doing this for many, many years. It's one of the reasons he's two-time MVP, and he's a phenomenal basketball player. And usually with Steph, when he has a tough game, he bounces back the next one. That's as part of his character and part of his competitiveness. So he found something out there. He found some openings and got himself going.
Steve, what goes through your mind when you're down plus 20 tonight, midway the third quarter there? What are you thinking?
Honestly, I'm just thinking, the most important thing for this team is to establish that we're going to compete for 48 minutes. It's still early in the season. We are a team that's coming together, learning one another. So it's the most important thing in my mind at that time was keep fighting, keep competing, don't give in, because it's important for us right now to establish our identity as a team that's going to compete and fight every night and play together and play hard.
Do you think it's possible Kelly Oubre might need like a role change to get himself going?
No, I think the reality is, I've been saying this, because this team is so new to one another, we just haven't found a groove with that starting lineup. It's just been tough to find a flow. So I don't anticipate changing anything. It's so early in the season. I want Kelly to gain some rhythm and some confidence, and he's going to be fine. He's a proven NBA player. He's been doing this for years, and he'll get going.
Coach, this is Doug from Italy. Sorry. Hi. What do you think you can build on a victory like this, in which you came back from down 23, in which your best player played, but also it's a great team effort?
I think the thing we can build from this is our belief and our confidence. We're just an interesting mix of players, this roster. We got some really young guys who don't know anything, James Wiseman being one, somebody who's, I think he's played 12 basketball games since his last high school game. So think about that for a second. And then a couple of new additions in free agency, some young guys, and then, two players in Steph and Draymond who have, multiple championships and have been all-stars. And so it's a really sort of interesting mix, and we've got to find our way. So tonight is a night about building our confidence.
Steve, what was it like for you to have that moment afterwards with Fred Cass, the scorekeeper who's been there so long?
That was such a cool moment. It's just remarkable when you think about how many basketball games Fred has seen and how much he's committed to the Warriors organization. Going back to working games at the Cow Palace. And it was so beautiful to see him out there. He was genuinely thrilled to be on the court with the guys. They signed the game ball, gave it to him. And it was really a beautiful moment. It's the stuff that happens in sports that's I think one of the things that pulls us all towards basketball, towards competition. All the people around the team who help and who are passionate about the game and are part of all this. It was beautiful.
All right, Steve Kerr there. Big important thing we'll talk about later in the show is that he's not going to change the starting lineup. We'll get into Kelly Oubre Jr. a little bit later in the show, but let's look around the Pacific Division because we had action.